objectives we're going to try to do today. So what I want you to do is find this document, double click on lesson objectives. And I want you to read silently through those objectives.
Here are my objectives, and I chose to put them in 3 separate statements. I thought it simplified them, but in some ways I think it makes them more complicated for the kids. Maybe a holistic statement incorporating all 3 would have been better for the kids. I did have to spend extra time explaining it to them. I'm not sure. I'd like feedback about this.
Okay, so who'd like to read the first one out loud? Okay, go ahead, Maya.
After repeated readings, group discussion, research, and sharing on electronic resources, students will explore the meaning of Shakespeare's soliloquy, 7 Ages of Men, written by a white man in the medieval ages, and look at contrast with I Rise, written by a black woman in the 20th century.
Okay, very good. Next one. Anyone want to read it, or should I read it out loud? Okay, I'll read it. Pick out challenging words within the Shakespeare and Angelou poem. You say Angelou or Angelo?
I think Angelou.
I do too.
Yeah.
Angelou poem, and find the meanings through discussion with a partner and using electronic sources, and then sharing those meanings with the entire group. So we're going to look at the meaning of the poem. You can sit down now.
All right.
And then we're going to do word study, some vocabulary words, and talk about some specific parts of words, which is this last one. Go through the poem and find words that have unfamiliar suffixes and record them. Then share them with a large group and listen to the teacher's explanation of the word parts used in these words and how these parts can be applied to other words to determine the word meaning. Oh, that's really some objectives there, Mrs. Hazard. Can you put it in words that we understand? We're going to look at these poems, talk about what they mean. We're going to talk about words in the poems that we don't really know. And we're going to talk about parts of the words that are weird, unusual, and what they mean. Okay. If you can't access the poem on the computer, please that's why I gave you paper copies. You're going to all need paper copies later on. Okay, so look at your number, see what your group is, and we're just going to put you in an order that makes sense.
For the comprehension portion of this lesson, I employed a lot of strategies to provide scaffolding so that all kids in the class could attain understanding of the poem. And yet I still wonder if it was enough. I used electronic applications. They had the documents in front of them in their Google file all of the time. They could go back and look at the documents. We had small group. We had discussion within small group. I read things out loud. We had large group. I had guided instruction. And yet I am still wondering if I provided enough scaffolding so that there aren't kids hiding in that group. They also did hand in an individual assignment so that I could see how each individual child was doing. But still, am I reaching everybody in that group? Is there some way I can tell?
Now, what you're going to do is, can I have everyone's attention, please? The way that you understand difficult pieces of poetry like this, interesting but difficult, is by reading it a number of times for different purposes. So the first reading we're going to do is, you're just going to read it through. What you're going to do after you read this through is you're going to give me an example. You're going to react to this poem. That doesn't have to be poetry itself. Here's my example. Carol H. This poem has some strange words that I don't recognize. It seems like it's about a bunch of different guys. Okay, don't touch that one. I can see somebody changed it. I made it editable because I want you to go in, put your name, and write your reaction. Okay, let's look at some of the comments. Please keep writing. So Braden says, can you go down this a little bit? Up, I'm sorry. Okay. Braden, it's about a boy through his lifetime. Is it Maya?
Yep.
Okay, Maya, it is very confusing, but I think it's about a guy who has many different personalities throughout his lifetime. It seems like the guy could be an actor. Allie, I think this is about a guy who's going through the stages of life and showing how people change their life. Jackie, I think this is about a guy that changed over his life. We've got a lot of unity here, but you think it's about a guy growing up. What indicated to you that that's what it was about? What did you use to figure that out? Yes?
It says his almost all the whole time.
It says his, so you know it's about a guy the whole time through. What else, what other clues did you use that it's about a guy changing through his lifetime? A lot of you said that. Look at that piece. What clues did you use? Yes?
It says, kind of like tells him about how he was like a baby and then like kind of how he got older.
So you can see a progression
Yeah.
in the poem. Okay, anybody else? What clues did you use? Emily, why do you think it's about that?
Well, it just like tells them about like different stages, like when he was little and then when he got older.
So the word stages was a clue for you, Emily? How many people used the title to try to figure out what it was about? Is that what you're going to say, Chloe?
Yeah.
Yeah, the title is a great contact, is a great clue. Time's up. Bring it in.
Yes.
What'd your group think about this poem?
Well, we thought it was a good poem, and I think William Shakespeare is a good writer
Why did you think it was good?
because it goes through the lifetime and it explains stuff, like how when he was a kid he was growing up on the nerves.
You can all identify with that?
Very good. I like it.
Okay, good description. Okay, let's see. Blake,
What, yeah.
what did your group think?
Thought it was confusing, pretty weird.
It is confusing. Is the speech different than how you speak today?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Well, some of the words are challenging. So what we're going to do is in your group, one person is going to be the typer. So click on this document, vocabulary of 7 stages. What I'm going to have you do is I want in your group to pick no more than 3 words out of this poem that you don't know the meaning of, or you're unsure of the meaning. You have 5 minutes.
During the vocabulary portion of the lesson, I chose to assess the children by having them write the meanings of their any three vocabulary words they chose on a document, which I checked later on a Google document. However, I would have liked to have been able to assess them in a more immediate way right there, so I could have gone back and had them, the whole group, look at words that were not understood. But I didn't know how to do that. So I would like some feedback about what could have been done to do an assessment, a formative assessment that was more immediate, so I could have gone back as in whole group instruction and clarify words that weren't understood.
Be ready to tell me one word that you saw in a lot of groups.
I highlighted.
Okay, Parker, tell me one word that appeared on a lot of lists.
Oh, well, sands.
Sands. Okay. Blake, what's a word that appeared on a lot of lists? Besides sands.
Pantaloon.
Pantaloon. Yes. Now, pantaloon, sands, and woeful.
Me.
Let's look a little bit. What I want you to do, we're going to look at the words together first. The first thing we're going to do is, in your group, I want you to try to define these words by using electronic resources, by using contents clues, by using discussion. So I want you to try to define your 3 words.
Flavorful.
Okay, now, what you're going to do now, you need to listen carefully. You are going to go over here and make a new document. You're going to put your name at the top, and you're going to name it your name. Everyone's going to do their own. This is what you're going to hand in to me for this lesson. This is your assignment part. And I want you to choose 3 words from this list that you didn't know and write them in the document. We're going to put the definitions on your own document. This is what you're going to hand in to me today. Group 2, tell me about your words. Stand up, someone who hasn't talked yet. Okay, go ahead. Stand up, Ivana, we have to hear you. Tell me your words. Your first word was pantaloon.
Yeah.
What does that mean, do you think?
Pants.
That's exactly right.
Oh!
That's pants. How did you figure that out by looking at that word?
Like the base.
The base word
Yeah.
is pants. Excellent strategy. Miss
Job,
Ivana.
Ivana.
Oh, you have to stand up. I'm sorry, Simon. You have to stand up. How about sans? What do you think sans means?
Without.
How'd you figure that out?
Google.
Excellent strategy. How about woeful?
Causing sorrow, something like that.
And how'd you find that out?
Google.
Excellent. Okay, group 9. Someone stand up. I haven't talked to you, Elise. Okay, stand up, Elise. We know what, I need your attention up here. We know what pantaloon means. We know what woeful means. How about oblivion? Unaware. Okay. How'd you find that out?
Well, I know that oblivious means unaware, so oblivion must mean something.
Excellent skills. Good.
Make note of that.
It can also mean a place without form or function, like out in space. Another. Yeah, if you've seen the movie. Okay, how about 6? Your words are both covered. You're lucky.
Lucky job.
How about 7? Someone who hasn't talked yet, stand up. Pard. What does pard mean?
It's like a leopard. It's on Google. It's
Like a leopard. Interesting. I think you're the only group that have that word. What did you think it meant?
Is it a leopard?
Leopard. Okay.
It said
How about group 8? Treble. Where's group 8?
I don't remember.
You already talked, I'm not on it yet.
Okay, what do you think treble means?
I have no idea.
Anybody sing choir? It's something to do with music and the sound of it's like the treble clef. It's a tone of voice you're talking. Like the treble clef. Is that on the bottom or the top?
Bottom.
Bottom. What's the clef on top called?
Braid.
It's the higher. It's the higher register. The bass clef is the bottom one. So it's speaking in a higher register. Okay, how about group 3? Ballad. Where's group 3?
Ballad, what was that one? That one
Gotta get in.
is a poem or song.
It's a poem or song. How'd you figure that out?
You Google.
Google. That's what I do. Okay,
Where's your old?
now, just a second. You need to write in those meanings. Go ahead and the 3 words that you did, write the meanings, then close your thing. Do not submit it. You're not done yet.
In the word study portion of my lesson, I chose to talk about a suffix in Elizabethan English where there is a apostrophe and then a D, and you'll see it in the following segment. This was very relevant to this poem. However, I wondered if maybe it was too obscure to be even called word study, but it still was very relevant, and I think it was helpful for the children's understanding that I covered it. But I just wonder its usefulness. If I hadn't done this, I'm not sure what I would have done for word study in this class. So I'd like some ideas about that. What would have been appropriate other than this?
There are some words in here that have a bizarre apostrophe D ending. I want you to, I'll look at the poem again and find at least 2 words that have that weird ending. And underline them. It's an apostrophe and a D. Okay, who's got one word that ends in that? Maya.
Save.
Save, then weird ending.
Slipper.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay? What's another? No E. Oh, good.
Slipper.
Okay, yes. What? Can you spell it for me?
L-I-N-D.
Weird apostrophe. Okay, what about another one? Yes.
Slipper with the weird ending.
Yes. Is there R and then this? Okay. Have you ever seen that before in modern English?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yo.
Where?
My mom.
Slang words. Yes, that's a good observation. Okay. I'm going to explain to you that this is the same as an ED ending.
No
Turn
way.
around, please. So, how would you say this word?
Save.
Right. Now I'm going to read you the explanation for this. apostrophe D was pronounced as ED in Elizabethan time. It was not an extra syllable unless it was clipped by an apostrophe. So like wronged with no E and apostrophe would be one syllable, while wrong with an E in it, like this, becomes two syllables. So how do you say that? Save it. How about this? Lion, linded, slippered. It's hard to say, isn't it? Okay, so now as the language evolved, they got rid of the apostrophe, except in what case do we still have that in our English language? Where we put apostrophe and then the ending. Say it again? I'm. And why is that there?
Because they got rid of the space.
They got rid of a letter, and that's why it's here too. They got rid of a letter, so they put an apostrophe. Now, we still have an apostrophe in some of our words without getting rid of a letter. When is that? No, there's a missing letter there.
It's ITS.
And that is, it is, what if it's, that's a bad choice, Braden. I'm sorry, you're really close, but that's not a good word to choose. Yes.
Peters or belongs to somebody.
Ownership. We still retain that in the English language when someone owns something. Otherwise, we've gotten rid of it. So this is an old-fashioned thing, so you know to say saved, not saved, because there were words like that in medieval times. I want you as a group to underline and segment off the 7 stages. Tell me where you think the 7 stages are. Go. So reread the poem. Tell me the 7 stages. Come back to your group and do it on the paper. Everyone should line the paper. Oops. And I want you to listen. I'm going to read Still I Rise, and I want all of you to follow along. Okay. By Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. I'm sorry, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. What is this poem about?
Rising.
A little deeper than that, please. Yes, Jared. I said this is a black woman who wrote this poem. She's very, very talented. And in your file, can you click on this again? There is a biography of her. So if you click on that, I want to read, yeah. Overcoming. She's definitely saying, look, too bad, I'm gonna make it. I don't care how much you're trying to keep me down. She had a really traumatic life, but she was unbelievably talented. She could dance, she could speak 3 languages. She was a professor. But she talks about it here, something that happened with her, and she became a deaf mute. She did not speak for 10 years selectively. And if you read it, you'll find out why. So what I want you to do is, I want you to compare this poem with the one we read by Shakespeare. Remember, white male in the medieval times, black female in current times. She just died, Maya Angelou. So, go to the document, here one more time, Ms. Thompson. Go to the document that is the comparison document. Compare and contrast. So click on that. You may not need to read the biography to figure out what it's about. But you need to make a copy of this sheet. Are you listening?
Yeah.
Make a copy of the sheet and complete it. Then mail it to me. And this very simple. List 3 ways the poems are alike. List 3 ways the poems are different. And then if you go up, tell me one thing that you thought was interesting about the poems. So today, I'm going to want your 7 stages, the hard copy. I'm going to want you to send me at the same, or just put, you don't need to do anything, I'll get that one, with your vocabulary words, because it's going to be in the same file. And then send this one to me.